old benefactor. Are you trying to stop this old monk? Kong Xian widened his eyes. His instinct told him this old man would not be easy to deal with. Zhou shook his head. That was not the reply he wanted to hear. He sighed softly. You pig-headed monk. He raised an arm slowly. At the same time, Kong Xian's arhat golden body burst with a blinding golden light again, and it increased from 4 to 8 bodies. The arhat golden bodies instantly attacked. Boom! 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 A Buddha golden body that was 100 feet tall and 10 feet wide appeared by Zhou's side, keeping the 8 arhat golden bodies at bay. It looked like a grandfather stopping his grandchildren. At this moment, those who still managed to retain their consciousness were filled with disbelief. The arhat golden bodies that they thought were so powerful had suddenly become so weak. This golden body was 2F* king big. They had to strain their necks to just look at it. Most of them cried out in surprise at the sight of this. A senior Buddhist monk. He's a senior Buddhist monk. Zhou swung his sleeve lightly before a small hand seal shot out from the golden body toward Kong Xian. Kong Xian stared with his mouth agape at the incoming hand seal before he quickly abandoned his arhat golden bodies and retreated. He descended on the ground immediately. Boom! 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 A series of explosions reverberated in the air as rubble flew everywhere when Kong Xian retreated at lightning speed. Deadly strike card is a sure kill move. Can you really run from it? Zhou thought to himself that the monk, Kong Xian, was no pushover. As Kong Xian retreated, he launched countless palm strikes that hit Zhou's massive golden body before they disappeared. He was not harmed nor was he affected. This was all the doing of the impeccable card. However, why did it manifest with a Buddhist sex technique? The monk, Kong Xian, was in disbelief over what was happening. The small palm strikes seemed to possess eyes as it pursued him. He had no choice but to move backward and retreat. His instincts told him that this small palm strike was dangerous. The holy altar was wide. It spanned dozens of miles. Just when Kong Xian thought he had succeeded in evading the palm strike suddenly grew in size in just a blink of an eye. As he retreated further, he could not shake off the feeling that something was amiss. As time went on, he noticed the palm strike grew bigger and bigger. At this time, the size of the palm was taller than a man. A hint of desperation grew in his heart as he continued to retreat, his survival instinct kicking in. When the palm strike was just a hairbreadth away from Kong Xian's face, it enlarged by several times again. Due to this, he had difficulty dodging the attack. The palm strike closed on him as though it knew he was going to unleash some technique. Currently, the size of the palm strike was extremely huge. Its size was indescribable. It was like an extra-large version of the Great Vajra Wheel hand sign. Meanwhile, back at the Holy Altar's portico, Zhou Yu finally managed to open her eyes now that the Brahmin lullaby had somewhat died down. When she saw the shocking scene before her eyes, she mumbled before fainting again, Master? Boom! The extra-large Great Vajra Wheel hand sign landed on Kong Xian, as though he was a fly that was being swatted. Soon after, the hand seal vanished, and Kong Xian had been reduced to dust. As soon as the monk, Kong Xian, disappeared, the chanting of the Brahmin lullaby ended abruptly, and the monks around the holy altar fell. At the same time, the temple of great emptiness flying chariot that was hovering in the air tottered perilously. The monks strained themselves to support it and slow its descent. Silence descended on the holy altar. Zhou's Buddha golden body that was 100 feet tall disappeared at this moment. Everything happened in 10 seconds. It was neither too long nor too short. However, for the cultivators of the noble and fiend paths, every single second seemed as long as a year. Currently, every cultivator's attention was focused on Zhou. This old man managed to defeat Kong Xian with just a single strike. The old man stroked his beard in a leisurely manner, as though it was a lovely day to be taking a walk. A question appeared in everyone's minds at this moment. Who's this cultivator who unleashed such a powerful Great Vajra Wheel hand sign? Is he another enlightened senior monk from some Buddhist sect? Meanwhile, Zhou was lost in thought, calculating the results. He decided to pursue the matter of merit points and rewards later. After that, he surveyed his surroundings. Most of the cultivators were currently unable to fight. The plans of the heavens superseded that of man. Nobody expected Kong Xian would use the Brahmin lullaby on everyone. However, this was inconsequential to Zhou now. The deadly strike card, an impeccable card, he had used had a powerful, intimidating effect. At this moment, nobody would risk attacking him. He did not expect this as well. He continued to survey his surroundings as he stroked his beard. His eyes took in expressions of shock and reverence on everyone's faces. In the end, he settled his gaze on the Fiend Temple's third seat, Duan Xing. He paid more attention to Duan Xing, since if there were anyone who was still capable of fighting, it would be Duan Xing. He wondered if Duan Xing would take the risk and attack him. A hint of reverence and respect for the strong could be seen in Duan Xing's eyes at this moment. After a long silence, he slowly rose to his feet before cupping his hands together at Zhou. This junior from Fiend Temple, Duan Xing, thanks the master for his aid. The expression on Zhou's old face was calm. He had expected this reaction. The two techniques he had unleashed were Buddhist sect techniques. Individuals who did not cultivate in the Zen sect would find it difficult to attain such a cultivation base. Even the elite cultivators, Zhou Xin-chan, cultivated the Fiend Zen for a long time and endured countless hardships before attaining the four-leaf avatar. Zhou Xin-chan was also the only person to have achieved that in a century. Even he did not expect that he would be able to unleash that Zen mark. The cultivators from the righteous sect cupped their fists together and said in unison, "Thank you, Master." The people of the Clarity sect followed suit. "Thank you, Master." In their eyes, Lu Sheng was an enlightened senior monk who had withdrawn from the secular world and did not interfere with worldly affairs. Zhou decided to play along with everyone's misunderstanding of his identity. He raised his hand and said loudly, "The Buddhist sects value mercy above all else. I'm greatly distressed to have killed one of my own kin today, but I had no choice." Upon hearing this, the cultivators from the noble path gave him a thumbs up. In their opinion, Zhou's behavior was befitting of a senior monk. "There's no need to concern yourself about this, Master. Kong Xian was despicable and shameless. He intended to kill all of us with the Brahmin lullaby and take the holy daughter away. This outcome is to everyone's satisfaction. A person like Kong Xian doesn't deserve to be a disciple of a Buddhist sect. Master, you're doing all Buddhist sects justice by killing that man. You're truly an enlightened senior monk. Compared to those sanctimonious bald, well, you're 10,000 times better than them." A righteous sect's cultivator who had spoken up suddenly made a sharp turn halfway through his speech. It did not seem appropriate to refer to monks as bald donkeys in front of this master. His heart raced in his chest when he thought about his transgression. However, Zhou remained indifferent. It seemed he did not mind the others referring to monks as bald monkeys. At this moment, a Clarity sect's cultivator cupped his hands together and said, "If it weren't for you, Master, all of us would have died. Master, you have such a profound cultivation base. I wonder what brings you to the holy altar today." Zhou gave that person a glance and replied, "I was just passing by." "I see. I heard that senior monks who cultivated with their hair like to travel the world and regard the four corners of the world as their home. I'm truly blessed for 3 lifetimes to have met you today, Master." Each cultivator was better at flattery than the last one. Many of the cultivators slowly got on their feet with labored movements. On the other hand, the monks had been under immense pressure before this. The sudden disruption of the incantation did not do them any good as well. They were panting heavily as they sat on the ground. With a nascent divinity tribulation realm cultivator, such as Duan Xing here, there was no need to fear the remaining monks. These monks did not even dare to take a single step toward him. Zhou knew that he could not stay any longer. He cast a glance in little Yuaner's direction. It seemed like little Yuaner was sound asleep. This little girl, how carefree is she? How could she fall asleep with all the commotion around her? This won't do. I'll have to re-educate her. However, this was not the time to be disciplining little Yuaner, so he had no choice but to let it slide for now. He called out softly, Yuan-er. Lu Yuan-er's body trembled for a moment before she finally woke up. She rose to her feet immediately. Master? Impudent. Zhou glared at her. Little Yuan-er quickly moved to Zhou's side. An aggrieved expression appeared on her face after she was reproached. Upon seeing this, someone asked, Master, I see you have a female disciple. Is your Buddhist sect so liberal that it's even accepting female disciples now? Zhou was worried more and more questions he had no answers to would come if he stayed any longer. Who knew if he had to use another item card at that time? It would be a great loss to him if that were to happen. The others were still in a daze as he looked at the unconscious Zhao Yu. He said clearly, Go get her. MHM. Little Yuana leaped toward Zhao Yu immediately. Upon seeing this, a shocked expression appeared on the cultivators' faces. Master, what are you doing? Master, you can't take her away. Are they trying to stop me? Zhou's eyes swept across the cultivators, and they fell silent immediately. Did you think Kong Xian was acting alone when he boldly attacked this venue? Everyone was stunned when they heard Zhou's words. That was right. Although the monk, Kong Xian, had a profound cultivation base, he would not have acted this way on his own. The Temple of Great Emptiness's abbot, Kong Yuan, must have approved of Kong Xian's actions. Such scum is an embarrassment to Buddhist sects. Abbot Kong Yuan has cultivated for a century, and yet he has ventured down the wrong path. A cultivator said. After a while, he added, If Kong Yuan comes, we ask you to defend us, Master. Everyone quickly bowed at Zhou. Zhou shook his head and stroked his beard, remaining silent. His expression was indifferent as well. However, he thought to himself, What does it have to do with me if Kong Yuan comes looking for trouble with all of you? What a joke. If I weren't here today, all of you would have died. Zhou's impression of the Clarity sect and Righteous sect was not good to begin with. He was already showing them great mercy by not holding them accountable for bringing Zhao Yu here. How dare they ask him to defend them? He thought these people deserved it if Kong Yuan came looking for them. At this moment, Liu Yuan, who was carrying Zhao Yu, returned to Zhou's side. Upon seeing this, the cultivators began to speak up one after another. Master, please don't do this. Zhao Yu is the 5th disciple of the Evil Sky Pavilion's villain. She has committed many crimes. If she's not dealt with, she'll bring calamity to the world. Please reconsider your decision, Master. Zhou sneered inwardly. A few moments ago, they were asking him to defend them, and now they were asking him to reconsider his action. They should weigh their own worth on the scale. It's indeed true that the noble path is filled with sanctimonious pricks. After a while, he said coldly, Is there anyone who has a problem with me taking her away? The cultivators seemed to have been put between a rock and a hard place. Air! Zhou turned around after he said, Let's go. Duan Xing, the Fiend Temple's 3rd seat, appeared before Zhou. Zhou was not surprised. Duan Xing was the only one among this band of cultivators who was skilled. He did not have to trouble himself with the others. It was within his expectation for Duan Xing to stop him. Just as well, dealing with Duan Xing will serve as another warning for these noble paths cultivators. However, something unexpected happened. Duan Xing bowed slightly and said with a smile, It's most appropriate for Master to bring the she-villain, Zhao Yu, away. The Fiend Temple fully agrees with this. As soon as Duan Xing finished speaking, the cultivators from Clarity sect and Righteous sect exchanged a look among themselves. Although the noble and fiend paths are at odds with each other, today's grand ceremony was held to use Zhao Yu in a marriage alliance to soften the tension between the two sides. Your 2nd seat was also killed by the Evil Sky Pavilion's old villain. Why would you let Zhao Yu go now? Duan Xing, have you forgotten how Xin Chan lost his life? Duan Xing replied with a smile. The 2nd seat went up the mountain to challenge the Evil Sky Pavilion. He was outmatched and lost his life. That's all there is to it. Can you speak for the entire Fiend Temple? Duan Xing looked at everyone, his eyes flashing coldly. Fuh! Duan Xing moved quickly and raised a palm. The Clarity sect's cultivator, who was hit reeled back and spat out a mouthful of blood before he crashed onto Portico. He was dead. Upon seeing this, a shocked expression could be seen on everyone's faces as they took a step backward. The noble and fiend paths are at odds. I'm not that bald donkey, Kong Xian. If you're here to preach, you do well to go home and preach to your own mother. I'm sick of hearing all this. The holy altar was deathly silent. Who would dare to oppose Duan Xing at this moment? They were daring enough to argue about reason with an enlightened senior monk, but they did not dare to do the same to someone from the fiend path. Those from the fiend path were unreasonable after all. It was no wonder those who were on the fiend path in Great Yen were despised by those on the noble path. Duan Xing walked up to Lu Zhou. He bowed again and cupped his hands together again before he said, "You are merciful, master, to be willing to reform the Shi-villain. This is a blessing for everyone under the heavens." Lu Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. This person was much more tactful than the people from the Clarity sect and Righteous sect. However, he still remained wary. If there were a need, he would use another item card. Duan Xing said, "Since you're taking the Shi-villain away, the Fiend Temple will consider the second seat Zuo Chan avenged." Lu Zhou nodded and said indifferently, "You did a good job cultivating your Tao invisibility." Duan Xing was taken aback. When he heard this, he quickly lowered his head. Lu Zhou waved his arm lightly. It did not take long before Bayan charged over from beyond the holy altar. It roared like a tiger and bared its fangs. The monks from the Temple of Great Emptiness had been manning the perimeter, but Bayan did not seem troubled by them. It ignored them completely and charged toward Lu Zhou. Bang! Bang! 2 Brahma Sea realm monks with 8 connected meridians reeled from the impact. The crowd was shocked again. This mount! What a feisty beast! To think that an enlightened senior monk with this cultivation base would have such a violent mount like this. I didn't expect this. Lu Zhou leaped onto Bayan. Little Yuaner carried Zhao Yu and easily leaped onto Bayan's back as well. Bayan roared again. It pushed back with its 4 hooves and dashed away from the holy altar through the air. The others would need some grand technique to catch up to a legendary mount once it left the boundaries of the holy altar. However, grand techniques would require a huge amount of energy. A cultivator would not be able to use them at will unless they had a profound cultivation base. The others looked on enviously as Bayan flew away from the holy altar's plaza like the wind. At this moment, the pressure on the holy altar plaza was lifted. The cultivators from the Righteous sect and Clarity sect shook their heads and sighed. They were powerless to do anything. After a while, they spoke up again. "We can't forgive this band of bald donkeys. Lock them up." However, the Fiend Temple's 3rd seat said coldly, "Aren't you being too lenient by just locking them up?" "Then what would you have us do?" Duan Xing said, "Remove the weed by pulling up its roots to prevent any mishaps in the future." The cultivators from the Clarity sect and Righteous sect looked at Duan Xing in shock. Since they took pride in being on the noble path, they naturally would not do such a thing. However, the Fiend Temple did not have such qualms. The noble path's cultivators did not say anything as though by remaining silent, they were giving their tacit approval. The fury of the Fiend Temple, inspired by the ordeal they went through that was caused by the Brahmin lullaby, would find its outlet in these monks. Lu Zhou steered by and navigated through the clusters of buildings on the holy altar. Unbeknownst to him, a figure had stepped out from behind a random building. The figure belonged to none other than Jiang Aijin. A conflicted expression could be seen on his face as he looked at Bai An's retreating back. He muttered under his breath, "That's impossible. His cultivation base is clearly at the middle stage of the sense-condensing realm. How can he be a great master of the Buddhist sect?" Jiang Aijin stroked his chin as he fell into another dilemma. Should I go after him? Will I be reduced to dust? However, he's a senior monk, so he probably won't kill me on a whim, right? The old mister seems like a nice person. I'm sure there won't be any problem. When Jiang Aijin looked up, Bayan had already vanished from his sight. He did not even know which direction the beast was headed. He was stunned. He turned around in a circle. Who am I? Where the F*** am I? What was I going to do again? Zhou did not head toward Golden Court Mountain. Instead, he flew toward Runan City. Although he had found Zhao Yu, there were still many questions that needed answering. Zhou dismounted from Bayan before dismissing Bayan when they were near Runan City. After all, Bayan would attract too much attention. Zhou and Liu Yuan brought Zhao Yu with them back to the inn. When they entered, the innkeeper was even more excited to see them compared to his own parents. He ran up to Zhou before kneeling and kowtowing. "My lord, you finally returned. If you arrive any later, I would have lost my head." Zhou said suspiciously, "What do you mean? The officer has told me that you're from the palace. I've acted impertinently toward you, and that's a great crime." "No matter." Zhou waved his hand. He motioned for Liu Yuan to bring Zhao Yu into the room. He had no need to argue with an innkeeper. Zhou took a few steps up the stairs before turning around. He asked coldly, "Did you find the culprit?" The innkeeper shook his head and said, "The officer would never reveal such information to me. I truly don't know." Zhou nodded. He stroked his beard as he went up the stairs. After the incident at the Holy Altar, Zhou could rule out Jiang Aijian. That sword freak, Chun Wenjie, was fighting against a Clarity Sect's elite, so he could not have been the culprit as well. That left him two other possibilities. It was either his second disciple, Sword Devil Yu Shangrong, or the Luo sect's Luo Chongqing. Luo Chongqing was currently in the northern regions of Great Yan. It would take him some time to get here. The possibility of him being the culprit was not high. Zhou stopped and looked at the corner where Zhou Ping had been killed. "Yesterday, my second disciple, Sword Devil Yu Shangrong, was merely dozens of meters away from me." "Master," Liu Yuan called out. "What's the matter?" "Senior sister has woken up." Zhou nodded. He walked up the stairs with a stern expression. "That evil disciple. I've truly outdone myself this time." Zhou walked into the room with a stern expression on his face. Zhao Yu was indeed awake, but she seemed weak as she lay on the bed. Moving seemed to be too great of an ordeal for her at this moment. Her cultivation base had been sealed, and she was subjected to the torment of the Brahmin lullaby. It was good enough that she managed to hold on to her life. She was able to stay alive due to her firm foundation. Zhou walked up to the table and slowly sat down. He looked at Zhao Yu. "Loyalty, 10%. Just as expected," Zhou thought to himself. When Zhao Yu saw her master next to her, her face paled immediately. She quickly scrambled off the bed without minding her appearance or condition, causing her to nearly fall on the floor due to her weak limbs. Fortunately, Liu Yuan caught her just in time. "Master, this disciple knows that she has done wrong. I know that I have done wrong." Zhao Yu did not even bother coming up with an excuse as she began to kowtow. Zhao Yu continued for some time before Zhou waved his arm and said indifferently, "That's enough." Zhao Yu looked at him with a hint of remorse. There was also a slight hint of fear mixed in. Before Zhao Yu could explain herself again, Zhou asked bluntly, "Who abducted you?" Zhao Yu shook her head like a child who knew she had made a blunder. Not even a shred of dignity as the villain of the Golden Court Mountain could be seen in her at this moment. She said softly, "I only know the person is an elite from Clarity Sect. His cultivation base is profound. He's almost on the same level. No, he's slightly weaker compared to you, Master." There were 3 true elites in the Clarity Sect. The first one was the sect master, Mo Chi. Rumor had it that his cultivation base was at the 7-leaf nascent divinity tribulation realm. The second elite was their grand elder, Pan Litian. This man had vanished without a trace long ago. Nobody knew where he went. It was said that Pan Litian's cultivation base surpassed that of his sect master. However, this rumor was never verified. The third one was the second elder, Yu Hongyi, the most powerful female cultivator in the Clarity Sect. "Zhao Yu, I've said that I won't deal with traitors of the sect lightly. Do you remember that?" When Zhao Yu heard this, she trembled and shook her head. "Master, you must listen to my explanation. I have no intention of betraying you. I want to return to my hometown to pay homage to my parents after completing my mission the other day, and I was intercepted by the Clarity Sect's elite along the way." "Pack, Zhou raised a hand and slammed it down on the table. Zhao Yu's heart raced from the shock. You dare lie to me? Zhou turned to look at Zhao Yu with a piercing gaze. Zhao Yu withered under Zhou's gaze. She began to recount what happened systematically and in detail. I went to the derived moon palace. Junior sister Qianxin wanted to harm you, but I didn't plan to cooperate. Zhou remained silent, waiting for more of Zhao Yu's confession. Zhao Yu continued, It's true that I returned to my hometown, but... You wavered. Zhou raised his voice. Zhao Yu did not dare to retort. She could only swallow her frustrations. Although she felt her master was different compared to before, she did not dare to push her luck. This disciple knows that she's done wrong. I shouldn't have listened to Yi Tianxin's slanderous words. If you didn't think about leaving, things would not have escalated to this stage, Zhou said calmly. Zhao Yu seemed to have remembered something as she hurriedly said, Yi Tianxin has laid a formation near Blue Sun Mountain. I had falsely promised her that I'd activate it. You're good to me, Master, so I would never think about harming you. I would rather not go than bear the sin of killing my master. I'm telling the truth. If my words contain even the slightest lie, I'm willing to be punished in whatever way. Zhou recalled the scene where Yi Tianxin led the cultivators into battle with his 9-leaf avatar. It was true that he did not sense Zhao Yu's presence. Zhao Yu stayed on the floor. She did not even dare to breathe loudly. In the end, Zhou decided to deal with Zhao Yu's punishment once they were back in Golden Court Mountain. When he recalled the event of the past 2 days, he asked, Who sealed your cultivation base? The only thing I know is that he's from the palace. I didn't see his face. Zhao Yu said, The palace. These incidents were somehow related to the palace. Since Zhou had descended from the mountain to investigate the kidnapping in the CI family, the impersonation of the CI mansion's butler, Wang Fugue, to the palace elite who sealed Zhao Yu's cultivation base, all signs pointed to the palace taking a keen interest in the evil sky pavilion. Zhao Yu looked at Zhou with an aggrieved expression on her face. I was kept in the holy altar by the Clarity sect after I was kidnapped. Lift your head. Zhou's tone was still stern. Zhao Yu did not dare disobey Zhou. She mustered up her courage before she lifted her head. She thought her master was going to punish her, but she did not expect him to study her glabella. The peculiar golden lotus usually looked enchanting and eye-catching under the sun, but appeared dull and washed out in the room. Witchcraft.